You still don't know these Bannerlord tips in 2025. Victory in Bannerlord comes from taking the fights you want and avoiding the fights you don't want. If you want to catch enemies or retreat when you need to, always keep a close eye on your party's movement speed, along with any buffs or penalties like hurting that could affect your ability to chase or escape enemies. The most important factor when it comes to movement speed is how many horses that you have in your inventory. There are two different types of horses, a saddle horse, or better known as a pack animal, and a riding horse. You can tell the difference by the small icons when you hover over the horses. The pack animals will have a small patch icon, and the riding horses will have a horse head, which are also the horses that you need to upgrade your foot soldiers to a cavalry unit. Now, to make sure that you don't get the hurting penalty, you really want to check and make sure that the number of pack animals doesn't go over the number of troops that you have in your party. You want it to be a 1-to-1 ratio of troops in your party. Like you see here, I have 30 horses and 30 troops. Now, if you want to get a buff to your movement speed called footmen on horses, the number of riding horses has to be equal to the number of unmounted troops in your party. For example, I currently have 30 riding horses and 30 unmounted troops. Now when you go back over to your movement speed, you'll see that movement bonus footmen on horses. And if you also have too many riding horses in your party compared to your unmounted troops, that will also give you the hurting penalty as well. Have you ever felt like your archers aren't doing enough damage on the battlefield? You're probably managing them all wrong. If you're keeping your archers in a line formation during battle, your archers on the back of the line won't have enough room to shoot, and you'll end up losing out on a ton of DPS. Always split your archers into two groups and use the scatter formation to ensure that all of your archers have a clear line of sight and that they have enough room to make sure that you are getting the most out of them. And at the beginning of your battles, make sure you're aligning your archers in front of your infantry so that way your infantrymen won't block their line of sight so they have a clear shot at the enemy coming forward. When the enemy gets too close, just send the archers to the back or on a hill so they can still see and shoot, and send the infantry to the front to meet the enemy so your archers stay productive and protected. Now, if you ever started a kingdom, some of you all might have found yourself having trouble creating large armies because you either don't have enough vassals or because you personally own too many fiefs and you're constantly losing out on influence because of the penalty it gives you. A neat trick that you can do is before you even think about starting a kingdom, anytime you are at war and defeat an enemy lord, instead of taking them prisoner and ransoming them every single time, just keep letting them go. This might sound counterproductive as they will just keep coming back with more armies, but every time you let them go, their opinion of you actually increases. If you do this from the very start of your playthrough and keep repeating this process to a large handful of enemy lords, by the time you actually create a kingdom of your own, you'll have a long list of friends where you can then easily convince them to be a part of your new kingdom. Now you can give away all of those fiefs to your new vassals so you don't receive that penalty, and you also have plenty of vassals to call upon to build a massive army. Just make sure you have a lot of gold before trying to convince enemy lords to join your new kingdom. Just like we talked about, a great way to expand your new kingdom is by convincing enemy lords to leave their current liege to come join you. If you do convince an enemy lord to leave and join you, the state of your current affairs with each other actually makes a huge difference. If you convince an enemy lord while your factions are at peace with each other, they will actually leave behind all of their fiefs. But if you spend enough time in the early game upgrading your charm skills and leveling them up, you can actually convince them even if you're at war with each other, and now when they join you, they will also bring along all of their castles and towns, allowing you to conquer a large portion of the map without any battles. Most of you know that buying workshops is one of the main ways of investing your money in Bannerlord. But you might realize after a while that certain workshops have less income than others, or some might even be completely inactive for long periods of time. But there are actually a few things that you can do to maximize your profits from your workshops. First, make sure your workshops have access to its primary ingredients. For example, breweries need grain, smithies need iron, and so on. You need to either buy workshops in a city that has the required ingredients through nearby villages, or you need to supply the town regularly yourself. If you want to take your profits even higher, you can go to other nearby towns, buy similar workshops, change their products, and then sell them back. This way, your workshop will have less competition and they can sell their goods for higher profits. Everyone knows that you can get married in Bannerlord, but the question is, who should you marry off your companions and family members to, or better yet, even yourself? You can't get married after the age 41 and 36 if you're playing as a female, but there are around 8 spouses that stand out with amazing stats. I'm definitely going to butcher these names, but stay with me. Svanna, Ira, Mila, Leanna, Corin, Anwin, and Sylvan. These spouses will make amazing party leaders and governors, and they will set your clan up for success. A lot of you may still be making the mistake of upgrading your troops just whenever they become available. In the early game, you might want to do this just to help defend yourself from looters better, but otherwise, this is the wrong way to do it. You preferably should wait until all of your troops of the same type can be upgraded at the same time, so that way your troops of the same type will actually generate something called shared experience. This means all of your troops of the same type will upgrade quicker in a large group, rather than upgrading them one by one. If you're still doing this, you're actually slowing down the rate of which your lower tier troops can upgrade after a while. Once you finally have your companions with all of the skills that you want, you should remember that they might not have the right perks for the tasks that you have assigned to them. If needed, you can actually reset the perks for yourself, family members, and companions. Just go visit the arena in any settlement with whoever perks you want to reset in your party and talk to the arena master, where you can then pay them to reset all of their perks. In the late game, you're going to find yourself with a ton of companions and family members, and if you're anything like me, you're going to keep forgetting who's good at what and keep having to constantly check and look at their skills to see who's good at what. A neat trick that I do is I just rename all of my companions to whatever skills that they are good at, so it's easier to manage them and make sure that you're using everyone properly. You might have noticed all the gang leaders that you see in every city, and there are actually a couple things that you can do regarding them, especially when they're in your own fief. The gang leaders actually affect the security of your feast negatively. To fix this, you can visit the gangs in your city and talk to them and threaten them. If you defeat them on your own, the gang will actually regroup and fight your entire party the next day, and if you win both fights, you'll get a considerable amount of renown and influence, and you'll increase the city's security. And now for a bunch of bonus tips that I couldn't decide if I wanted to include them or not. To farm XP for companions, take them to Desert Bandit hideouts. The bandits are mostly Bedouin rovers with blunt weapons and no ranged weapons, so your guys are safe even with deaths enabled. You can kite enemies to your companions, then distract them while your companions get the kills. A gold helmet icon next to a town means there is a tournament available. On PC, double tap the W key when you start riding to get up to speed even faster. The Need Manual Labors quest found in mining villages pays 5 times the normal rate for bandit prisoners. Riding 225 and Scouting 225 perks on the player lets you keep lords prisoner forever without them being able to escape. Irrigation is better than housing for building town prosperity long term. In the very early game, buy cheap hogs and butcher them to make easy money selling meat and hides. If you start a new kingdom, immediately enact kingdom policies before you recruit other lords. Sacred Majesty and Forgiveness of Debts should always be first. The fastest way to level up engineering skill is not to actually build siege equipment, but to just kill troops with it. This can also be done fairly easily while defending a settlement. Special troops, for example Fians and Khans guards, are only recruitable from villages bound to castles. You can cheese influence by donating troops to a clan member, then get them back through troop inspection, rinse and repeat. When sieging a settlement, don't build your siege engines one by one and let the enemy take them out. Instead, pause the game once your engine is built and move it into reserves. Do this for all 4 of them, and then rebuild them all at the same time and watch the mayhem unfold. During siege bombardment, break only one wall. The enemy will bunch up in the opening, place a fire auger in front of it, and enjoy. And last, but definitely not least, the last tip I have for you all is to always use F1 and F3. If you knew everything in this list, or if you learned something new today after Bannerlord has been out for nearly 4 years, let me know down in the comments below what you did or didn't know. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.